So, hey everyone, and welcome to our conversation about the dance continuum. My name is Liam. I will be kind of like directing this conversation today with some of the amazing artists we have here. A little bit of an introduction about myself. Like I said, my name is Liam. I'm a dancer. I also choreograph. I write, facilitate as well. So this is something I'm really excited about, to do a conversation with artists, because I also really enjoy collaborating. So I am really, really excited to talk to everyone here today. I'm going to introduce, or I'm going to let the artists introduce themselves, actually. And I think we said we would start with Simone, just to introduce us, seeing as she's kind of like, one of the boss ladies of the playground. So yeah, Simone, introduce yourself.
Hello, and thank you everyone for coming and joining in for the videos. My name is, as Liam said, Simone Danbert. I am one of the founders of the Playground, representing Playground today, which is the platform that in normal times happens once a month at Valdes headquarters on the South Bank in London, where all of these wonderful artists have come and taken part and collaborated, made drawings, made photography of the dance happening around them. So I'm also a dancer rumba and boss lady. So that's me.
Perfect. So we're going to go around and introduce ourselves. Your name, a little bit about yourself, and could you please find some sort of answer or way to answer the question, what do you believe your responsibility is as an artist? And there's a little extra thing. Does this shift depending on the context in which you're creating work? So who would like to go first? Do we have any volunteers?
Maybe I should.
There we go. Cool. Perfect.
My name is Jeannie Clark, and I live near Canterbury, which is close enough to get me into London. I'm an artist. I've been an artist for over 30 years, and a teacher, a ceramicist, muralist, basically a traditional artist, very different from the other set of people this group that we are. But I've been an artist for years, and I think being honest and being really truthful about just tackling whatever I tackle. If I try to copy or try to be somebody else or take on somebody else's style because I'm impressed by it, it doesn't work. And I have to get up each day and feel energized, and that there's a challenge and something that that I can achieve and communicate to others. And you introduced the boss lady before, and it was the boss lady I contacted earlier this year about this idea of communicating, because at that point we were in lockdown, and I had 2 exhibitions cancelled, so I wasn't communicating with anybody. But so I then contacted Simona to see what she thought about the idea of exhibiting, which led us to where we are now. So amazing group of people. I'll let them talk.
Thank you. Who would like to go next? Doreen, do you want to go and share with us?
I will, yes. My name's Doreen Whellams, and I'm an artist. I studied art at Central St Martin's. That was way back in the 1988 to 1990, around that time. And then I did visual theory at East London University. When we were working then, it was very much different from what I'm doing today. I've always had a passion for dance, and I followed dance for about 60 years in various ways, whether it's classical or whether it's contemporary. And in my later years, I've come back to what I love to do, which is to draw, and to draw in the very swift movements. Dance provides me with that, and I feel very immersed in the actual action that is taking place. So I do feel as though I'm at one with the dancers when I'm actually dancing, and that is, and I hope that that kind of response comes across in my work. I found today interesting connection between dance and drawing, because and I'm looking at this because I don't want to get the years the wrong way round, but the first drawing, apparently, so they believe, was done 73,000 years ago. And dance drawings were found to have been done 22,000 years ago. So there seems to be this long continuous history with the two of them. They are akin. And that kind of fits in with the title, you know. You can find dance from right up to today, and we hope beyond, because that's what you dancers are working for. So my stimulus really does come from the dancing, and I use very direct means. I'm using what you could describe as just a surface and an implement to make marks with, and that is it. So that's the most direct means for me. Also, I'm very aware, but I won't go on too much because I think some of the things I might say might come into other topics that you're going to sort of introduce to us. But yeah, my responsibility is to convey what I feel by the method that I employ to anyone who sees the work.
Thank you, Doreen. Next on my screen is Akiko. Would you like to go next?
Well, hello everyone, and thanks for inviting me. And my name is Akikoba. I'm originally from Tokyo, Japan, and I moved to London when I was 27 years old, which is quite a long time ago. I look quite young, I would say, but yeah, I'm pretty old at the moment, like a middle-aged woman anyway. So I studied fine art in London, and I studied at Campbell College of Arts, did a drawing degree in there. And after that, I graduated MFA in sculpture and Slade School of Fine Arts. So I did a master in sculpture and graduated in 2008. And since then, I've been doing like a practice artist kind of thingy. And also 5 years ago, I started to do my side project, which is called Mystic Form, which is my handcrafted jewelry, so which I'm wearing right now. So this is started as my side project, which explore my interest between the art and object and also body. I wanted to kind of explore the idea of something wearable and also something like just between the something wearable and object and kind of in relation to the body and how it looks and how it responded to that sort of thing, in a sculpture way. So I studied that. So yeah, I'm doing the kind of various things, sometimes do some drawings, sometimes make some sculptures and also make some jewelry. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I think my responsibility as an artist is just keep creating, I think, which is very important as an artist and also as a visual artist or performer or musician. Everybody needs to be creating all the time, whatever it happens, especially in this time, because it's a really, really hard time due to the COVID. And but my motto is just be creative and keep motivated, which is very hard to do, and be true to yourself and just show what you can do and show what you feel, and just to share that sort of your visual ideas to the public. That's what I think it's very important aspect as an artist, I believe. Yeah, thanks.
Cheers. So next on my screen, I have Kim. Kim, would you like to go next?
Hello, I'm Kim Valdez, and I've been an artist, I think really, I would say all my life, although I've only worked at it full-time since in the last 20 years. Before that, I would have a 3-day-a-week job in computing, so it was a bit different. But I've always made art and I've always drawn, and I have a diploma in sculpture, and I have made and continue to make sculpture in a variety of materials. But the drawing has always been very important to me, and I discovered the Prince's Drawing School. It's now called the Royal Drawing School, and I went there for a number of classes, and one was a class that I found very addictive in drawing the moving figure, and we had dancers and gymnasts and wrestlers and all sorts of people would come and spend the whole day sort of drawing the movement, which I found really challenging and absorbing. Sometime after that, in about 2008, I happened to come across an article by Ross McKim, who was the director of the Rambert School, and he was organising dances in cathedrals around England.
And I wrote to him and asked if I could, with a friend of mine that I'd met at the Royal School, if we could draw some of the rehearsals. And we ended up drawing some performances in St. Paul's Cathedral, which was very exciting. Since then, I haven't done so much drawing of dance. I've done all sorts of other drawings. And in about 2012, I started to draw on an iPad because being a sculptor, I broke my wrist one day and I couldn't work at sculpture, and I couldn't really draw either because it was my right hand, although I should have tried drawing with my left hand a bit more. But I realized I could draw with one finger, and the Hockney exhibition had just been on, so I realized I could get an iPad and try drawing on that, which was really how I started drawing on an iPad. And I really enjoyed that because it gives me the chance of colour, using colour. So I have actually done quite a lot of landscapes and other types of drawing on the iPad. But when I heard about the playground, I was really excited. I thought, you know, I'd really like to get back and do some more drawing of dance. And then I thought, I'm going to use the iPad because it's very quick. You don't have to carry a lot around with you. Just got to make sure you're fully charged before you start. And you can draw in layers and you can see through the layers. You can do all sorts of things with the layers. But the thing I discovered at the playground was, I mean, I knew that I could make playback videos of these drawings, and where you just play back every stroke, you see the drawing being built. But I hadn't realized I could probably edit it and maybe start to think about making a video out of my drawings. So I'm quite excited by that idea at the moment. But yes, my idea of responsibility of an artist, I always find this quite difficult because I'm quite political, and there's lots of sort of political type of things I'd like to express, but I don't think art can be didactic. I don't want to sort of, you know, do a poster or something. It's not the kind of thing I do. So basically, yes, you do just have to find out how to be truthful to what you want to do and say, and it might not seem so relevant to the things you'd like to say in other ways, perhaps. But I do write quite a bit. I'm starting to do that a bit more again now. And so I hope, for instance, I've just done, I made a virtual gallery of some pictures I've done about the Amazon because I'm very keen on subjects like climate change. And so it doesn't directly address climate change, but I kind of hope it's got something to do with it. So I think that I do think, I feel I have a responsibility, but I don't quite know how. I've never really discovered the way of dealing with it. Apart from what people would say, definitely you have to be true to your own ideas of art and not try and copy somebody else. Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Kim. Sally, would you like to share with us?
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm Sally Mckay, and I trained at Goldsmiths in the 1980s, and my degree was in art and dance, in fact. I did my master's in 2020, and that's when I started to work with Lee Anderson, who I'd known when I was at Goldsmiths and she was at Laban. And that's when I really started to work with dance. So I drew the Chumleys and the Fenshaws while they were rehearsing, and that was really the start of it for me. And since then I've been working with dancers and dance companies during rehearsals, drawing them, and it becomes quite addictive. I can't really leave it. So it's been brilliant for me coming to Playground. I've been coming for about 2 years. And yes, definitely Playground's been a big impact on my work. I'm a printmaker. I make etchings and monoprints, which is working with a metal plate and handmade prints from that. And I'm also a sculptor. But it all comes from drawing, and all comes from really enjoying the movement. I think my responsibility as an artist is really to keep people questioning, to keep people remembering that creativity is in all of us. I teach art as well, and I think the main thing that I say to all the students that I teach is always carry a sketchbook with you, always draw, keep true to yourself, and keep looking and recording, and you'll find a way through. So that's me.
Thank you. And finally, Jan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Actually, it's recording and I'm really excited. I'm Can Aksoy. I'm from Istanbul, Turkey. I'm an architect and I came to the UK in 2017. I studied my master's at Oxford Brookes, Master of Architecture in AAD, Advanced Architectural Design. I came to London in 2018 and I started my own business on architecture and visual art. And also I have a keen interest and a strong interest in filmmaking, specifically experimental films. So I made several short films and I joined some film festivals. And also about your question, my responsibility as an artist, I think to change something, because, you know, I produce something, I create something. So if I see something dark, so I can be a kind of light for this kind of darkness. I think an artist should be kind of political, because I'm a Turkish person. And for example, if I look at the politics in Turkey, there are lots of things that are not right. So maybe by using films, cinema, by telling some stories, I can change something in the future. So that's why I think any artist should be political, because we have a kind of power to change something. So the keyword is change for me. And yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. So one question I wanted to ask in response to this is, like, a lot of you spoke about authenticity, and I'm interested, as someone who is also an artist and creates work and is obsessed with authenticity as well, is this idea that within our work, or our work can be seen as like a representation of our lived experience. Part of our lived experience exists in our work. And I'm interested to know, just because I find it quite interesting, do you ever see any parts of yourself in your work, or have any parts of have you seen any parts of yourself in your work that maybe made their way into your work pre-reflectively? So perhaps that you weren't intending to demonstrate through your work. Do you see any parts of your personality represented in your work that wasn't necessarily intentional, perhaps? And I think that's just quite interesting when we're thinking about authenticity, this idea of like not a forced authenticity, but a purposeful authenticity, and then perhaps space for authenticity to kind of seep into your work and out without you maybe being conscious of it. Just in your work, I'm just wondering, does anyone ever see anything reflective of themselves that they weren't conscious of having represented in their work? Yes, Akiko.
I don't know if I answering your question, but because my work is really super personal, so but I'm trying not to kind of control everything by myself, especially when I drawing something, because how I tackle with the material and how I kind of make the visual is come through me really natural and spontaneously without no intention. Sometimes I don't know, it's kind of related to the authenticity what you're talking about, but my aim to kind of create something, you know, just emerged from myself very spontaneously and very naturally without kind of strong intention. Am I answering your question?
Yeah, I think this, you're answering the question. That's the question is there's definitely no right answer at all. Yeah, thank you. Is there anyone else, any thoughts on that sort of idea?
Well, I think I agree with Akiko. It's a very interesting question you've asked, but I'm sort of confounded as to know how to answer it, because there's certainly, and for me, the very action of drawing, I'm feeling at one with what I'm drawing, and I'm not aware of making conscious decisions. To me, it's very much like walking on a tightrope. I never quite know what's going to happen when I get to the other side, because I'm working so fast and rhythmically. But that is the kind of challenge for me. Beyond that, I can't really say that I've examined my work from that point of view. But it's something I'm going to think on, Liam. Thank you.
You're welcome. Go ahead. Yes, Jeannie.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. This is a very tricky question, this one. There's something happened to me since I watched dances and then sat with a pencil in the same room trying to not capture, wrong word, almost inhabit them. It'd take everything in from the atmosphere in the room, whatever was going on. That's the only art that I can feel that when I came back from the first experience of this, which was at the Place in London, which was an open rehearsal, which I'd never been to before. I couldn't speak on the train going home, and and I'm quite a talkative normally, and I couldn't do it. And I find that this sense, when I take this information that I've got and these massive chaotic sketches and emotions, when I actually start to do a piece of work, it's really, I'm really trying to inhabit, and it does feel like that, to try to feel like a dancer, which I am not by any stretch of the imagination. And I am lost in it completely. And I've never experienced that before. I've painted lots of subjects, all sorts of things. This phenomena of painting and drawing dancers is spellbinding, and it captivates me. I have to do it every day, every single day. And so I don't know. Something has happened to me. And Doreen sort of taps into something, has a really good way of expressing some of the things that I feel, which I can't say. And the only way of expressing it for me is onto this paper and canvas.
Yes. It's inhabiting. For me, as you've described, it's inhabiting the dance form, and you're not aware of anything else. You're not aware.
Absolutely.
I'm living what is happening in front of me.
Yes.
I just sort of paraphrased what you said, but that's.
No, it's
I
perfect,
agree with you entirely. Yeah.
Kim, you had something to add.
Yes, well, I think what really started me was that class I was talking about where we were drawing movement. And I felt that the concentration becomes so great when you're drawing dancers but particularly dancers, and particularly if there's music or something to clue into. I think you do go into, I've realised that people call it a flow state, or
okay.
And there's also what Ross McKim talked about in his article, which was why I contacted him, was he talked about the numinous experience. Well, I didn't really know that word numinous, but I think it is what you're talking about. You get so involved with what you're doing, and you do try and sort of be a part of the whole thing as you're drawing. And I think that's what it feels like. Yes.
It's very similar to the feelings because when I was in Japan, I was practicing a lot of calligraphy. So I use a lot of, like a brush and ink and, that sort of thing, just draw onto the paper very spontaneously. And there's a moment that I go completely blank, but my movement is just still going. But to get to that stage, I practice a lot because I started learning calligraphy when I was 8 years old. So I was doing that since then, and just every day, every single week, you just practice. So it's very similar to maybe the dancers, like trained dancers like you guys, Simone and Liam, because you guys train enormously a lot every single day and just building up something. And then when it comes to like a stage or just showing a piece of work, you came to that kind of, just state that you almost kind of doing things, but it's kind of like naturally, just be part of it. That sort of sensation I feel. So maybe, just Doreen just mentioned about that word of inhabit, or, I don't know. I didn't really know about that word inhabit to describe that, the sort of, sensation. But for me, it's very related to, it's a bit like Zen-like kind of thing. It sounds a bit, just cliche, but, because I'm Japanese, so I don't want to, search too much about Zen kind of stuff. But for me, it's like just kind of, like the state of unconsciousness kind of thing for me. Yeah. So when I do doing drawing or just be in the playground, it's just drawing, and the dancers, just seeing the choreographers kind of developing something, I kind of started to feel naturally get involved with them. It's almost become like a part of them, but I'm not the dancer at all. I'm just kind of artist, just drawing or just observing the dancers and choreographer. But there's a kind of sparkle moment that I kind of kind of, just emerge with them or just be part of them. And I really enjoy that sort of sensation, I feel, especially during doing that sort of very creative sessions,
Could definitely do a whole talk on flow with you.
You'd love it.
So obsessed with, like, I saw Simone smile, like she knows I'm so obsessed with flow.
Oh dear.
Mirror neurons, and how when you're in flow, can someone else also be in flow by watching you? And so all of this is just very satisfying for me to hear. Were there any other responses to that question, or should we move on?
I can add something, maybe.
Go ahead,
Okay.
yes, please share.
I'm taking photographs and also I'm making some films. Every time, actually, all of my works always reflect me because actually I'm a big fan of Freud and also Carl Gustav Jung. Subconsciousness, unconsciousness, and also consciousness. These levels are, I think, very significant. Every time I see something very familiar with me when I take some pictures of the dancers or some performers at Rambach Dance School. So, the frame, maybe the movement, maybe the feeling or the specific emotion in that picture, in that shot, always, I think they are kind of, defining my emotions. Of course, this is my subjective point of view. It's my approach to photography and filmmaking. It's always about us, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
That's lovely to hear. So I want to ask, let's move on and talk about the playground now. What is it that the playground offers you? Like, as a specific context, the playground, what does it offer you as an artist? Just really simply put.
I'll do a quick one.
Go ahead, yeah, of course.
I've only been to one playground session, unlike the rest of the group, and it was the one before lockdown. So, but I'd been, I think I said before that I'd been to one open dance rehearsal. I'd been and a big one with a big dance company, and then I sort of hunted out wherever dance companies were rehearsing and wrote to people and asked if I could come and sit in, which I did. But there was a sort of tension that in the ones I went to where the artists were at one end of the room. Well, there were very many artists, probably me and somebody else, and we were at one end of the room and the dancers at the other, wherever. And it was a very, very fixed feeling, very us and them. It was still priceless. It was still wonderful because I was watching dancers and I was in the same room with them. Then, by following some of the dancers on Instagram, I got to know that there was this thing called a Rambert Playground, and I got in on that one, which was the first one before lockdown, and it was a revelation. It was like we were sharing the same feelings. I was drawing, people were taking photographs, wandering around. You could almost. It really did feel like you could have actually got up at some point if you'd wanted to and move around with them. Completely liberating. And I find that the prospect of us, when we come out of this, the COVID, and being able to go back to that, I can't wait. I mean, for me, it's just been a taster session, and listening. I think Sally says she's been going for years. I mean, for me, it's like, wow, what have I hit on here? Who are these people who are so interested in what I'm doing with this pencil, hopelessly trying to, to get some of it on paper. And there they are, these wonderful people who, how do people move like that? I think it's a tremendous, I get terribly excited about things. This is how I am. It's not an analytical thing. It is an emotional experience for me. And I know it is for all of us, and we have different ways of expressing it. But Rambert is a complete revelation to me, and long may it continue. And this opportunity now, when Simone has said, when I wrote to her and said, do you think there's any way we could, get some, is there anybody else out there that wants to exhibit and show people what you're doing, for artists, and for her to sort of seize that and go, yeah, there are actually. And here are these people in this group of us now. Breathtaking. I mean, it's the beginning of something magic to me. So I'm just super proud, very excited.
Simone.
It's just so nice to hear everyone talk and to hear Jeannie talk about the difference between being in a studio where you are in the same room with someone, but there's a disconnect, but that felt as a part of the collaboration at Playground. I actually, without it being a question, but I definitely know myself that when we started, we didn't know, it's now 3 years ago, celebrating 3 years of Playground, but we didn't know when it started what it was going to be. But what I always find so amazing is when we have artists, visual artists, fine artists, sculptors, painters, drawers, photographers, filmmakers come through. I guess it's like that sense of all of you, and this we will also see in the exhibition, you have different responses, you have your own style, your own way of creating, of expressing yourself. And I think in dancers have that as well. And I also feel that there's this sense of community and togetherness. And because it's an intense, almost like 2.5 hours of creating, I see sometimes Doreen, she walks around the different studios or stays in one, but you get to hear the choreographers that are leading sessions. You get to actually get the same information that the dancers get. And I also wonder if this influences your response to what you see, that actually it makes you one of the dancers by responding, but not physically with your bodies, but with your own talent. I hope that they give something like that. I mean, I'm not like answering a question or asking a question. I'm just like saying stuff.
I think what I enjoy about it is it's unstructured and it's a creative atmosphere where everybody is involved. And for me, the first word say sort of when Liam asked the question was what I get is the unexpected. And that's the surprise. I never know quite what's going to happen. And that's the involvement. And if I go from studio to studio, if I go to the top studio, it's a much more intimate space. And my whole attitude changes because the dancers, amazingly, are almost on top of me. You know, you can smell their sweat, you know, you can feel the physical movement there, and the angle is different. And then all of that is influencing and changing, and I'm not fast enough to take it all in, but then I go to the next playground and we start all over again. So that's just one thing I wanted to pinpoint. Yeah.
Thank you. Sally, you had something to add as well.
I was just going to say that Playground is it's like a melting pot of creativity, to not just be with the dancers and the choreographers, but musicians and photographers, other artists, and it's just a very wonderful experience, I think, for everybody, and everybody's collaborating together. It's very much coming together. It's that feeling of us all working together. Nobody's going off on their own little point. Mm-hmm. And just one thing you were saying about the words spoken by whoever's leading the dance improvisation. There's one of the pieces that I'm showing, which I called Time is Non-Linear, which Phil Halford was leading, and he was talking about the breath. And it was in the small studio space, so we were in a very small space together. I did feel very much like I was part of them, and the dancers, there were about 6 dancers, I think, and him moving amongst each other, just turning around, around, and he was just talking about the breath constantly. And it was his, I don't even remember whether there was any music. I think it was just his words that was just leading everybody, and it was very, very beautiful. But I came away, and I still feel, when I look at that piece, I can, my actual work, then I can still hear his voice talking about the breath, and it felt very important to me. And then, so that was just one thing.
That's amazing. So I guess kind of on that note, we're looking at the Dance Continuum. All of the work that is being exhibited here was made at the Playground. How is that different to the work you usually share? Like, how do you feel? Does it feel any different to be sharing work from this environment than it does to sharing work from another environment, or like from a different context created under different circumstances?
Are you thinking specifically is this bringing in the pandemic aspect as well, or are you thinking of the Playground situation itself?
The Playground situation, yeah.
Okay.
We'll get to the pandemic.
Yeah, okay.
We will get there. We can't not. Yeah, maybe there is no difference. Maybe
I think in terms of the methodology, it's exactly the same compared to my different piece of work. Mm-hmm. But of course, the subject matter is different because I'm looking at the art, the dancers and choreographers and performing arts within that specific time and and space and area. But I think, especially my work is very personal, and, it's all about like how I responded to that sort of subject matter, or how I responded to, dances and, the movement or flow or time and space. But I think the work I have been created during the playground session is almost like, for me, it's like a study and sketches. And each of them are kind of, just finished like 10 minutes or something. So I try to capture the dancers' movement, or sometimes choreographers, movement, also like atmosphere and time. So I think within that sort of context is slightly different approach, where I'm kind of making my own work, because my normal work is more about my kind of inner visions, which have been developed through myself. But I think that talking about the playground thing is more like I'm just observing a lot within the the time frame which the session is happening. So I take a lot of information during that short period of time. So it's more like, for me, it's like a study and the research, and it's sometimes like challenging myself as an artist. So it's a very, very good practice to me. So am I answering the question? I'm not sure.
Are you referring to this exhibition being virtual, and what is the difference in sort of the technical aspect of that, whereas the difference would normally be going to see the work in situ in a gallery or where else? Is that the angle you were taking?
I mean, that was my next question, so we can surely move on to that, which was, like, this is an amazing virtual gallery. Like, what difference does that pose for you as well?
Every difference. Every difference.
Can
You're divorced from the physicality of a piece of work. Very much so. You're receiving it by a different means. I mean, you could look at many pictures of famous paintings, but people want to see the original, or what the artist intended them to see. Also, you cannot get the scale. Well, I mean, I don't need to go on. I mean, obviously, it's a very, very different experience. At least I think so. Very much so. I mean, also the fact it's been described before, actually going to see a work of art, having to make the effort to go to see an exhibition. That's a decision you make at the start. Just as, when you are dancing, your audience have decided to go and see you. It's making that effort. It's the whole thing, really. It could expressed in many different ways, but for me, I would say so, yeah.
It's interesting. I think it also makes it more accessible, though, as well, in this weird way. It's like it maybe takes away an element of the like you said, like divorcing the audience from the art itself, the live piece. But then it does also make that interaction with art a bit more accessible, maybe for people who couldn't go to a gallery as well, which is.
Oh yes, I'm not downsiding that.
No,
I'm just pointing out that there is that difference.
Yeah, of course.
Can I say, Liam?
Of course.
Akiko said before something that chimed with me and to your question, is making this kind of art different. I feel that what I've embarked on is a course of study as well. I've changed my emphasis from having a commercial angle and become completely immersed in something which is sort of quite niche, and the honesty element. In that question before, that the honesty element, people have said to me, "Oh, you still more dancers," or are they dancers? These people, or are they athletes? Because they don't see satin ballet shoes or little bits of tutu and things. I said, no, these are dancers. Oh, with a slight bit of disappointment sometimes, because they want to see a little bit of, So for me, it's changed. I'm selling. Yeah, great. But finding an audience, finding other people that see what we see, that's an interesting one. And I've had 2 exhibitions cancelled, and I would have put some of this work in. That'd be interesting to see what the audience thought of that. But your other point, I was thinking, wouldn't it be lovely if we can, all as artists can fill a great big hall in Rambert House? Oh, we can't. Oh, it's going to be virtual. And I think, well, hang on, potentially we have a global audience, albeit a different experience. I appreciate that, and that's another responsibility which we have, don't we? We've got to tell people about this, and that he's probably taken us on to another question: is what do we do now? But that, you know,
I think
sorry to no, it's fine. I finished.
Yeah, I think this year it has been really, for me, it's all about maybe connecting because of the pandemic things happening all over the world. And especially I'm from Japan, and after, you know, the lockdown things happened in March, and, you know, lots of my friends started to contact me virtually, like sending a text or Facebook message and Instagram message, blah, blah, blah. So I feel much more connected with people all over the world right now. And thanks for the like social media and the virtual thing. It gives us a kind of different way of kind of communicating with people, which is good or bad, maybe, you know, who knows? But I think it's very good opportunity to just connect and share ideas and sending the information all over the world, you know, regardless of the you know, time differences, you know, like countries, you know. So I think it's a great opportunity anyway, you know, to do that sort of, you know, virtual online exhibition, because everybody can kind of click and see the people's work and then try to get to know about our work, and we can share our work and we can share our thoughts, you know, through that sort of, you know, platform. So I think it's a great opportunity anyway. Yeah.
Kim, you had something to add as well.
I was thinking that the work is very immediate, and some of it, I've been drawing on an iPad, so it's a bit different, but if I'd been drawing on paper, I would have found it quite hard to present my drawings. I mean, I have obviously presented drawings of dance framed and on the wall, but I really rather like the fact that I can just put into that virtual gallery something quite immediate and sketchy. And of course, because I discovered the video aspect, it sort of suits it as well. So that's sort of quite good for me. But I do like the way that we can see everybody. I know it's all the wrong size, and it's not the size that you've drawn it or anything like that, and you can't touch it. But I think you can see it pretty well. And I think the fact that you can show it to potentially to so many people is exciting. Yeah.
I think for me personally as a dancer as well, I'm starting to think about the difference between dance for film and like a recording of dance, and perhaps how that makes me feel as an artist, as a choreographer, as a performer as well. Someone watching something that I have created or I've performed in that is made to be viewed via a screen, and someone watching something or seeing something that was made for a live audience. And I guess that's again one of the is interesting here, because we have, for instance, Kim, who is creating on an electronic device, and this thing maybe seems more of like a comfortable fit for your mode of creating, rather than someone like Doreen, who's saying that there feels like there's a slight divorce between what it is you're creating and the medium in which you're presenting it. I think it's just it's very, very interesting. We already started to crack on a little bit about the pandemic. I've recently been reading a book by Elizabeth Gilbert called Big Magic, which talks about genius, and this idea of genius being this thing that visits you, and it doesn't really exist within you itself and doesn't belong to you. And I wanted to know, like, how has your experience been with genius during the lockdown, like with creation? How has that been for each of you?
I think this strange and difficult time gave me a kind of opportunity to study not a different thing, but which is still related to my art practice. And I am very lucky to take some online course. And I did the ancient Egyptian course, and I just kind of learned a basic thing about the pyramid in Egypt, because I've been kind of interested in the, archaeology since I'm a child, and I have a kind of, strong desire to be in Egypt. And luckily, like 5 or 6 years ago, I went to Luxor to see the actual Tutankhamun's, mummy and, the tomb and all that kind of stuff. And I have an opportunity to take some online course in Harvard University, because they offer me like it's like a free access for everybody. So I started to like a free course offered by that university, and then started to do some course, So yeah, that was a really good opportunity for me to kind of discover different things. And also I spend the time for my, side project, which is like jewelry business. And I have a really difficult time, of course, because jewelry is really hard to sell. And I need to kind of think differently more. I need to be more connected to the people more than ever, so it's been really challenging, but at the same time, it kind of gave me a, just opportunity to kind of think differently, or just discover different way of approaching things, and just try to go back to your basic interest and just expand it. So yeah, that's what I'm doing like since March, I think. Yeah.
Thank you. Sally or Can, we haven't heard from you in a while. What's your relationship been with like creativity and genius during the lockdown period? If you don't know.
And you go first.
Actually, in the beginning of lockdown, I was really super stressed. Then I started to focus on my own art and design projects. And also I made short films at home. And also I collaborated with amazing artists again on my short films. So it got some awards from some small festivals. It was great because, always we are living in a very kind of fast pace of life. For example, I was living in Notting Hill, and I wasn't going to Hyde Park. But during the lockdown, for the first time, I was going to Hyde Park every day. And I was looking at the sky, clothes, I was reading and I was writing, and also I started to write a script and a new story for a feature film in the future, because I really want to make an experimental feature film in both Turkey and in the UK. So it was really productive for me, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Sally?
Okay. Yeah, for me, I was still able to use my studio. They kept the studios open, and the print studio. It's meant I've had to be quite a lot more organized. I can't do things on impulse in quite the same way, because where I do my printing, there are less people allowed to go in. We have to book ahead. So I have to know at the beginning of the week what I'm going to do each day. I haven't been able to swim during lockdown. Swimming is a very big part of my life, so that's been really hard. And I had to find other ways to unleash my energy. So I've been cycling a lot and started yoga, which has been really nice. But with my work, I've been able to carry on. I've been really fortunate with that. But I haven't been able to draw live dance. I've tried to do things on screen, which hasn't been the same for me. I can't make that same connection. Mm-hmm. So that hasn't really worked. So I'm using drawings that I've done before, old drawings, which has been fine. Yeah, just keeping going with it all, really.
Yeah. Has anyone else got anything they'd like to share on that subject of their experience with creativity?
I've been drawing from television. There was the jazz festival on, young jazz musicians, I think, of the year. And the camera doesn't move around too much. It focuses on. That's the only way. But I counted, sometimes it was 6 seconds, and I got my sketchbook. I didn't care what I did, but I was just getting something down. That was my exercise, and I'm going to continue with that. But yes, it's been a reflective time. Yeah, I've spent time looking at the sky, particularly the trees, because I'm on the 3rd floor and there's trees level with me outside. Trees and sky. Trying to do a sketchbook of trees every day when I go for a coffee. I take my sketchbook, I draw the trees. Only for a few minutes, but I do it.
I did a lot of drawings of trees as well in the spring. I have an allotment, and not having to work for a living anymore, I actually felt a sense of relief when the lockdown happened, because there was an exhibition of the Crouch and Open Studios I was supposed to be, getting myself organised for, and I guess I just felt quite pleased not to have to do that. And I started to go to the allotment every day, and I drew the trees as they sort of got into leaf. So I did drawing on paper for that in a sketchbook, and I really enjoyed it. And the weather was pretty good quite a lot of the time, so it was part of the walk. Have a walk, to sit down and do a drawing for an hour or so, and it was really nice. So actually I quite enjoyed the whole experience. I mean, there are things that aren't so good, but it's certainly given more time to think what you're doing and where you want to go, although I don't think I'll ever really know that.
Can I make
Go ahead.
just a quick one? Interesting what Sally was saying about having working from a screen and how unsatisfactory that can be, and Akiko talking about communication and staying connected, which was mentioned earlier on. One of the, I'm a singer, and my partner is a musician as well. And one of the things that we've done, I'll keep this really short. One of the things we've done is we put together some of our favourite tracks. And one of the dancers, Erin Pollitt from Matter of Fact Dance, we went to watch her. We started to do some work with her. And one of the things that occurred to us was, this was before lockdown, we said, if we send you some music of us, can you choreograph it? And we'll do some drawings, and we'll do something in the future. Then we hit lockdown. She took the music, choreographed it, and we worked from a screen, which was tricky. But we also sent it to India, to one of the other dancers that I'd followed on Instagram, one to Spain, we've now got 6 or 7 dancers, all interpreting this music in lockdown, in their bedrooms or on their roofs. And I've really had to, I thought, I'm going to have to work from a screen and freeze framing bits of video. We've actually got Can involved in this. He's not mentioned it tonight, but this is some way that we may go forward, because we're just going to have to. But we've stayed connected, and I've really had to drag myself in, because my work, I was always, the end product was really important to me. And I've now had to get used to the fact that, hang on here, we're not talking end product necessarily and perfect pieces of work. We're talking about experience and what I think of as a nice piece of art is not what we're doing necessarily. And it's quite interesting how this is all beginning to change for me, and it's quite an exciting way forward. So that's one really good thing that's come out of being locked down. So
Thank you.
I don't think that's answered your genius question, has it?
An answer is all I asked for, yeah. So finally, I just wanted to just give you all an opportunity to say something about the work that you'll be sharing in the Dance Continuum, and maybe at the end give us maybe like 3 words to describe it as well, just like, yeah, as a fun little concise little wrap up. But again, feel free to talk for more than 3 words about it, but giving us a nice little like bow on the top of your description, maybe about what it is, how you feel about your work, something maybe you want people to know about your work. Yeah, totally up to you. Who would like to start?
Well, I would start with the first thing that came into my head, is that in my introduction, I said that the dances, the drawings they were made in real time. So that's the first thing that comes to me, that they are, as they are, unaltered, unmediated. They are just at that particular moment that I produce them, and the dancers produce the dance for me. So I think it's direct communication that I'm talking about. And ideally, I mean, this is not possible, but ideally I see, originally they all had frames on. As it takes frames off mine, no frames. I do not like frames, because I see, and also that fits in with my idea of continuum, because dance continues. And I would like, if I ever get the opportunity in the future, to make work which went beyond the frame. So I hope it would convey directness. I don't have any other words. Somebody else fill in for me.
Wonderful. Thank you, Doreen. Who would like to share?
Can I share? Can I say something? The works I'm showing at the online exhibition is, as I said, it's based on my study during the playground session, but particularly for that piece of work, I tried to capture the dancers' movement from Lambert, actually when they performed Cunningham last November, because I'm a huge fan of Lambert. So since I moved to UK, I just encountered the contemporary dance introduced by my friend, like a uni friend. But before that, I didn't really know about the dance at all, because especially in Japan, I didn't have opportunity to see the dance. I saw some, like play or theater or that sort of things, but never ever encountered contemporary dance in my life. So when I saw the Lambert piece, it kind of clicked on my mind, and I was so got into it. So this is the reason I wanted to get involved in the playground, actually, to get this glimpse of what the dancers doing, especially creating some piece, So that was really good opportunity for me to see the actual, their kind of, exchanging their kind of physical language, to create a piece. And just kind of going back to my work exhibiting at the online exhibition is, I'm just talking about the Cunningham technique, because I started to do the contemporary dance a little bit in the Lambert, like maybe 3 years ago as a beginner, because I'm a complete beginner of the dance. And I found that Cunningham technique is so difficult. It's all about precision and alignment and rigidness, and quite mathematical and very minimal. But I find it's really interesting, especially when I kind of translate it onto my drawing. I really need to think about composition as well, but not losing the the movement. It also, like, because my work is really about capturing the movement and the notion of the energy, that sort of thing. So just by seeing the actual, the performance of the Lambert, which I saw in the Sadler's Wells last year, and I tried to keep that memory and try to digest in my mind. And then after that, I created that work, which I'm exhibiting that exhibition. So just you capturing the time and move and the precision, emotion. And for me, it's dance is, to me, it looks like a drawing in the air. So which I really enjoy observing it as an artist.
Nice, thank you. Any takers? Jeannie? Oh, Sally's got a hand up.
Sally, go? Yeah, go, Sam.
My work has moved. The work that I'm showing has moved on from the drawings, because although I draw live in real time, the etchings are another stage on from that. So the image does change and evolve, but they still feel very much connected to the dance and the drawings. And one of them is called Move Like Honey, because that was the words that Cousins said to the dancers, which I really liked. And there's Time is Non-Linear was the Phil Holford piece, and Intimate Distance from Ruth Mayerhoud Jones. I'm just very pleased that we're able to show them, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.
For you as well, Simone. It wasn't for me. I'm not part of the Playground team. I'm not part of this wonderful thing that has made this whole wonderful thing possible. So congratulations to you all. Who would like to go next?
Do you want me to?
Yes, go ahead, Jeannie.
Okay. I'm basically showing 2 areas of work, all connected to the physical experience on the night. So I will take my frantic sketches home, and I've exhibited a I think there are two that I've exhibited, which are from my sketch pad, which I will go home and add colour to, that I remember immediately. I'll also, at the time, I annotate them, because I find that there's so much information coming through as I'm drawing, and a lot of what is being said to the dancers from the choreographer is completely illuminating. And so I write that down as well. And I've exhibited two of those. Well, I've got lots of them, and I quite like those as pieces of work as well. But the other things that I've been doing, I've been experimenting and developing those, and working on composition, and pushing into oil as well, oil painting, which I haven't done for ages. And I've exhibited some prints in the exhibition, which are of two big canvases, where I've taken sketches and made a composition, of a dynamic composition, which I hope expresses a muscularity and a physicality, which in watercolor I can't always get. I can get a really rapid movement, but the thing that fascinates me about dancers as well is the solidity and the muscle and the strength that goes on beneath this flying creature, as it were. And I've tried to get some of that feeling of solidity and muscle tone without losing that sense of movement, and also trying some of the things that happened at the playground night, when dancers have been, when choreographers are saying, like, let's all do this, have a try at seeing how this feels if we all follow all sorts of things I'd never seen before. And some of the compositions and the tableaus which were formed, they're not just an individual dancer of like 3 or 4, 6, hugely dynamic. And I'm sort of exploring that now. So I really need to be on sort of 6-foot canvases, bigger, probably. So I've shown 2 canvases in oil, and the rest are from my sketch pad, which I hope sort of gives people a flavour of the way I work anyway. But yeah, thanks very much.
Thank you.
I find that drawing on the iPad and drawing fast, when I drawn dance on paper, on a single sheet of paper, I think I used to have, when I knew what was coming, when there was a certain dance that was repeated, I would have about 3 or 4 different sheets, and I'd switch them over quickly when it came to a certain part in the dance. So I could make a whole picture of a sort, or several whole pictures over several repetitions of the dance. But at the playground, that's different, and I'm using the iPad. So everything I do has to be very instantaneous, and it can be on the iPad, but the result is that it's all much more abstract even than, and my other drawings are pretty abstract, but so the drawings I'm producing on the iPad are getting more abstract, and I just quite like the way that I can build up into a sort of tangle of answers or lines. Just hope that I need to practice a lot more at it, really, I'm saying, I think. And also, I would like to put in a little bit more background, but I found that's quite difficult, because if I sort of set out a bit of a background like a stage, you know, and then sort of put the dancers in it, the sizes get all confused, and it's quite confusing to keep the sizes same from layer to layer on the iPad. So there's a lot of problems, in other words, which I'm still like to work out. Yeah.
Thank you. And finally, Can.
I think emotion is coming from motion. When I go to Rambert and when I see some kind of, you know, sessions, playground sessions, I see the motion and I get the feeling, I get the emotion. So I captured maybe over 2,000 pictures at Rambert during 3 playground sessions. Actually, I created many photo series and I shared some of them on Facebook group, on Behance, on my portfolio page. I always try to convey this feeling because there's always human connection at playground, because the motion and all the kind of movements of the performance is abstract. And when I see something abstract, I can construct my own narrative. That's why it's very unique, I think. I think Playground is one of the really best events in London. I'm a big fan of Rambert and Playground. So I tried to make some unique feelings. That's why I captured the photographs, then I digitally manipulated my pictures. Colors are kind of abstract in my pictures. And also I tried to highlight the main character or the main form, main performers. So they look like kind of film poster right now. So a viewer can construct another feeling or another kind of narrative. Thank you very much. Really, I'm so happy to take part in this exhibition. Really, thank you very much. Yeah.
Wow, I think that's everyone. I think that's time. I'm so excited to share the Dance Continuum with everybody. Simone has a wrapping up thought hand wave, I think. Go on, Simone.
No, I just wanted to say first, thank you, Liam, for leading this talk chat with us today. Because Liam, the reason why I asked Liam was because he comes to the playground a lot as a choreographer, but also the last couple of times he's been doing the artistic gremlins. So he's been leading round talk discussions. Yeah, something like this. So I thought this might be something that he would be up for as well. So it's really happy. Thank you for doing this. And I would like to say thank you, Jeannie, contacting me months ago, being like, would this be something? And thank you all of you guys, because I tried to reach out to the community and you guys came back to me, and I tried to, I mean, it's very exciting. We're releasing it. I can't wait to share it because you're all fantastic. All your work is brilliant. All the hard work you put into it. But also, I hope nobody was stressed during the process, because I didn't want to rush anyone, and it's just something that happened because we wanted it to happen. And I got that sense from everyone. And thank you so much as well for taking your time, for being with us tonight to do this little talk and this little chat. And yeah, I hope that everybody who watches and go into the exhibition, that they enjoy Dance Continuum. And yeah, thank you so much for coming. Yes.